Let's talk about The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild. Now, if you don't follow me on Twitter, at @unlikelyuusha, then you're missing out on all of my wonderful tweets about this magical game that's just around the corner. And trust me, I tweet about it a lot. We've been waiting for what feels like an eternity, but it's almost time to go crazy and run around Hyrule in nothing but our underwear, wielding a stick, setting fire to everything and climbing absolutely everything. The reason I'm making this video is because I wanted to give some of my thoughts on the game overall, as well as propose some ideas about the mystery 7th rune which is absent from the Sheikah Slate. Then finally, some fun experiments I plan to conduct in Breath of the Wild, and how those videos will fit into my channel. So, with all that out of the way, let's get to it. Now, one thing which excites me greatly about this new Zelda installment is the beautiful physics engine at play this time around. You can see its presence everywhere in the game. It affects pretty much everything, which leads to some interesting changes from a typical Zelda game. Fighting enemies looks to be a totally different experience in Breath of the Wild thanks to the physics at play here. For example, when fighting some bokoblins, one big swing from an enemy knocks Link off his feet. Not to mention your health goes down much faster now, with enemies dealing way more damage per hit than previously. I know it's been said a bunch of times already, but the combat is sort of reminiscent of the Dark Souls series, where it's all about strategy and playing defensively to minimise damage. Although in saying that, I'm totally going to get killed by trying to kill enemies in a stylish fashion, because that's just how I roll. Using these physics in conjunction with the runes we already know of shows that all of these features, when used in different ways, can lead to some interesting outcomes. Many of you may recall the incredible Catapult footage from Eurogamer, where the player uses the Magnesis rune to organise a few objects into a seesaw shape. He then stands Link on one end and then drops a huge boulder on the other side to send Link flying into the sky, and in doing so gets a crazy amount of height. Of course, he then falls to his death, but that's not the point here. I'm excited to see how this could play into the actual game. Imagine being at a really tall cliff and it's so high that just climbing from the base won't work. Well, how about using one of these catapults you can make yourself from scrap laying around, providing that the area has the necessary scrap, that is, to launch yourself at the cliff and get some free height. Then you just need to hope that you didn't misjudge the height and hope like hell that your stamina doesn't run out, because it'll be a long way down otherwise. Now keep in mind the physics engine at times can be unpredictable, and the catapult might not always work, as demonstrated in this footage from Nintendo Life. Taking these physics along with the magical properties of the runes further, we can conduct some interesting experiments in the game. I'm going to throw out some of my physics ideas for when I get my hands on it, just so that I can look back at this and see how wrong I was, and keep in mind I'm going to be making a few videos showing me trying these experiments and various other things in Zelda Breath of the Wild when I finally get my hands on it. So if you'd like, feel free to give me some suggestions in the comments for what to try, and I'll give you a shout out when I try it. They'll be organised into a few videos, such as one video could be about trying to escape the Great Plateau without the paraglider. Speaking of which, one of the things I've been thinking of trying when I get into the game is trying a few ideas for how to get off the Great Plateau without the paraglider. It's hard to say if any of these will work or if the situations suggested will even be present in the game for me to try these, but I'll throw them out there anyway. My first idea is to chop a tree down in the direction of the Great Plateau's edge while clinging onto said tree and have it then fall off the side of the Great Plateau, with the intention being that the log of the tree would somehow break my fall, or reduce the amount of fall damage I would take. The question is, how would I cut a tree down while already clinging to said tree? Well, there's a few ideas I have for how to go about doing this, although all of them require the bomb runes, and again is predicated on the in-game features allowing me to detonate the bombs during certain actions. So my idea for knocking a tree off the plateau has a few ways it could work. I'm not sure if you can knock a tree down with a bomb alone, but that would be my first idea. Place a bomb next to the tree, climb on and detonate the bomb while on it. This would hopefully cause the tree to be sent flying off the side. As I said, the log would break my fall, that or it'll just break apart into piles of sticks like when you hit it with a weapon, one or the other. My second idea follows the same thought process but with something added. What if a bomb doesn't work? I get on the tree and detonate the bomb, and instead of the tree breaking and throwing me off the side, it just gets destroyed and I'm left feeling deflated and sad. This plan is for if that first one fails. Firstly, I would need to get an axe, and I have no idea if the axe would still chop trees if it wasn't even being held by Link. My line of reasoning for assuming this idea would work is from the Nintendo Treehouse Live footage when Magnesis was used to attack a Guardian by picking up a discarded weapon and whacking it. I wouldn't be using Magnesis here though. Instead, I would try to chop the tree down using the bomb rune to knock the axe into the tree, chopping it down. Now, admittedly, this one is a stretch, and I have no idea whether or not it will work, but I can and I will try. Now, this one is simple but predicates on when you can detonate the bomb. My initial idea was to simply jump off the plateau while carrying a bomb and detonate it when I'm a bit closer to the ground. My hope being that the bomb damage would cause a lot of my downward momentum to be dispersed, and hopefully lessen the damage, although, considering I'd only be starting with 3 hearts, I better cook up some hearty meals since this idea will no doubt rack up damage. But obviously, what if I can't detonate a bomb while holding it? the animation shows Link pointing the Sheikah Slate in the direction of the bomb to blow it up, but how can you do that while holding the bomb above his head? So, my backup would be to use the wonderfully physicsy round bomb and dribble it like a football or soccer ball off the cliff, and jump down with it, hopefully sticking close to it, then blow it up, sending me up higher to negate a lot of the fall, providing I can blow it up while falling. Basically, this one has a lot of variables. Now for number 4, the Hoverboard. Now this is an idea that's been talked about for a while since the E3 demo of Breath of the Wild. If you take 2 bits of metal and stack them on top of each other, you can make a sort of hoverboard. Now there is very limited footage of this in play since most general demo goers haven't had access to all the runes, and in some cases just never thought to give this idea a go. But good old Alex Only from Nintendo Life got a chance to try this idea out while at Nintendo's UK HQ, and it worked! Kind of. Keep in mind, however, it isn't actually Alex himself playing, but rather a Nintendo employee. It seems like quite an unpredictable method since it needs some cooperation from the physics, but if this method turns out to work well enough with a bit of practice, it could have some interesting uses outside of just escaping the plateau. Now, this isn't related to escaping from the Great Plateau, but one thing I'd love to try when I get into the game is use the Magnesis rune to just pick up some boxes and barrels around the place to try and make some kind of basic shelter. So maybe use some boxes or barrels for walls and top it up with some of those metal planks. Maybe add a chest inside or something. Minecraft's graphics suddenly got really good. A very basic idea, but I love the thought of setting up shop somewhere. Whether or not it would remain there when you exit the game and return has yet to be seen. Somehow I doubt it, but I would love to be proven wrong. Moving on from escaping the plateau, trust me, there will be a whole video trying out these stupid experiments. Next we have shield surfing. This is a feature of the game absolutely nobody saw coming, and I have a couple of neat ideas for how to have fun with this feature. First off, the way shield surfing works is you jump with a shield equipped and while in the air hop on your shield. If done while moving, you're greeted with Link doing a spectacular front flip onto his shield. He could just jump on, but no, he has to do a front flip. It's just an awesome little visual touch. And it's this front flip I'd love to mess around with. My end goal being to try and do a shield surfing front flip over a Guardian, because that would just look rad. Beyond that, however, I do have some fun stuff I'd love to try with this feature. My first idea is a pretty simple one, but I'm not sure if it would work. What I'd love to try would be to place a bomb, then shield surf on top of the bomb, detonate it, and see if this launches you while on the shield. This would require the shield to still function as a working shield even while on your feet, which I hope it does. If this works, I could see myself having a ton of fun with this. And this one is a bit silly and short, but remember that big slope from the Game Awards trailer? The sort of wooden bridge thing? Yeah. I'm gonna try and shield surf down that whole thing. Yeah. I better keep my paraglider handy. That's about as far as my imagination can go for the shield surfing at the moment, but I am interested in something I spotted in one of the trailers that pertains to shield surfing. During the recent trailers for the Super Bowl, you can see Link fighting a boss that is very reminiscent of Mulgera from Wind Waker. And during this boss, Link is shield surfing while being dragged along, tied to some enemy with a rope. This got me thinking about what exactly that rope is. Is it an item that Link can pick up, sort of like how the fire rod works as a standard item now? If so, can you use it to climb and swing from objects again, sort of like Wind Waker? There are a lot of common Zelda items currently absent from the footage we've seen, so it's not too far-fetched to think that this could be a possibility. And I actually hope it is, because a grappling hook that can be used in more of a freeform fashion than previously would be an amazing addition to the game. Moving on to the last feature I'd like to talk about, the amazing runes. So far we've seen 6 runes shown off in the demos. The 2 bomb runes, Magnesis, Stasis, Cryonis and the Amiibo slot. As of right now though, there's a mystery 7th rune we've yet to identify, so I'd like to throw out my ideas for what this rune could be. Now obviously, this is just conjecture, and I'm probably going to be completely wrong in my assumptions, but it's fun to theorise. My first idea is some kind of fire rune. Fire is a big part of Breath of the Wild. You can use it to burn structures, grass, as well as enemies. It keeps Link warm in colder areas and can provide light. But besides the obvious aspects of fire, this element has an interesting byproduct in this game. Any fire causes an updraft of hot air, which then, combined with Link's paraglider, can lift him higher in the air. So my idea is a rune which can create a spot of fire on any surface. I don't have a ton of faith in this theory since fire isn't that hard to come by ordinarily, but I think having fire packed away in a room would be a classy and safe way to get the fire you want. Practicality wise, I'm not sure if it would be worth taking up a whole slot though. Another theory is that the 7th slot could be filled with some kind of returning item from an older Zelda game. Much like how the first 2 runes are bombs, which used to be a typical item. We could see the return of an old item in the form of a rune. For example, we have bombs. Why not have a bomb chew? I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibility, but in saying that, I'm not sure myself and many others would be too thrilled if 3 of the rune slots were filled with different types of bombs. It makes me wonder if there are going to be more rune slots available later on in the game. Somehow, there just seems to be something weird in my opinion about 2 of the rune slots being filled with bombs, and the rest are individual brand new things. It just makes me feel like there should be more, but maybe it's just wishful thinking. I just want more cool magic runes to play with. Oh man, it's tough coming up with rune ideas. I don't know how you managed it, Nintendo. I guess that's all I have for the moment. Breath of the Wild is out soon and I couldn't possibly be more excited. It's a game that perfectly encapsulates many of my favourite things about gaming. Exploration, character customization, beautiful physics, the cooking mechanic and its incredible potential, and the fact that all of these amazing features are packed into my favourite game series ever, Zelda. Hey, and thank you for watching me gush about Zelda for over 10 minutes. Breath of the Wild is going to be a game I'm going to get lost in, and I mean that in the best way possible. And as I mentioned before, I plan to do a few videos on Breath of the Wild, and I hope you'll stick around to check them out. I think they'll make for a good few laughs, so consider subscribing and clicking the bell to be notified on all things unlikely Yuusha. As well as that, you can check out my Discord server where we talk about all kinds of nonsense, as well as a dedicated Zelda chat for all of your Zelda related thoughts and discussions. And finally, maybe you'd like to support me on Patreon. For as little as $1 a month, you can get access to my videos a week before they come out for the public, as well as special roles in my Discord server, and a bunch of other neat rewards. Regardless, thank you so much for watching, it means a lot. Until next time.